Chosen one, can you sense it in this very moment? That unusual weight pressing on your heart, as if everything is on the verge of changing, as if the skies just released a breath and softly spoke your name. Chosen one, pay very close attention to what I'm saying. You didn't land on this video by mistake. You weren't led here randomly. Wednesday is approaching fast, and there's something you absolutely must grasp. Very few people will ever encounter this truth. Wednesday is nothing like any other day. It's a heavenly reset, a sacred appointment that was set in the heavens long before you drew your first breath. If you let it pass by, you might spend the remaining years of your life wondering what your story could have become. Let me help you see it clearly. Your heart at this moment is like a fortress, a gigantic, ironclad safe hidden deep inside your chest, sealed tight for years upon years. Locked away inside that safe are the dreams you quit voicing aloud, the prayers you breathed through tears in the darkness at 3 a.m., the desperate questions you hurled toward God when nobody else could hear. You've dragged that safe with you through every single season, through every letdown, every betrayal, every instant when others stare at you like you were foolish for still holding on to hope. But here's what they never revealed to you. That safe only unlocks on God's perfect schedule. And chosen one, this coming Wednesday is the code. You spent your entire existence waiting for a moment you couldn't even name, a moment that will finally give meaning to every wound, every slammed door, every year you felt unseen and unheard. You've begged, God, when will it finally be my turn? You've sobbed, why does everyone else receive their miracle while I'm still stuck? Heaven heard every syllable. Before these words finish, you're going to understand why every heartbreak, every delay, every night you spent alone has been positioning you for this exact Wednesday. Not next month, not someday far off, this Wednesday. And the enemy is fully aware. That's why doubt is murmuring in your ear right now. That's why fear is scratching at the edges of your thoughts, insisting this can't be real. But deep in your spirit, you know the truth. Your spirit is awakening. If your chest is already trembling with that knowing, if something inside you just leapt awake, type, I'm listening in the comments right this second. Heaven notices obedience, and obedience releases what hesitation keeps buried forever. Now, let me stop for a moment and speak from the depth of my heart. Thank you. Truly thank you to every beautiful soul who has blessed this message with super thanks. Your kindness touches me more than words can say. You're not merely giving money. You're helping carry light to others who feel isolated in their calling, whether you give or simply watch. I am profoundly grateful for every one of you being here. Your time, your attention, your open heart, it all matters deeply. And if this word is vibrating in your spirit, go ahead and let heaven know you're ready. But hear me clearly. What I'm about to unveil isn't for the casually curious. It's for those willing to obey. Stay with me all the way to part 6, because that's when concealed truth finally lands. The one thing the enemy is desperate to keep hidden from you. Wednesday is coming, chosen one, and you were born for exactly this. Do you know what shatters my heart? Do you know what keeps me up at night interceding for souls like yours? It's watching chosen ones settle for scraps, when heaven has been preparing a banquet for them the whole time. Chosen one, I need you to hear me with every fiber of your being. This Wednesday is not just another square on the calendar. It's not the middle of some ordinary week. It is not normal. This Wednesday is a Kairos moment. And if you don't yet grasp what that means, you're standing at the station while the train bearing your name pulls in. Let me take you straight to the word, because this isn't my opinion. This is God's repeated pattern throughout history. In Daniel 10, verse 12, the angel delivers a message that ought to rattle every believer awake. Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you set your heart to gain understanding and humbled yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of them. But here's the part almost everyone overlooks. It took exactly 21 days for the answer to break through. 21 days of invisible warfare in the heavenly realms. 21 days while Daniel wondered if God had gone silent, or if heaven was actually battling on his behalf. Then, on the appointed day, the breakthrough detonated. Chosen one, do you see what I'm showing you? Your delay was never rejection. Your waiting was never punishment. It was divine protection. While you wept in the silence, heaven was waging wars you couldn't see. While you feared God had forgotten your name, angels were removing obstacles so a moment this precise could arrive. A moment so perfectly timed that if it come even one day sooner, you wouldn't have been ready to carry it. This Wednesday is your Daniel 10 verse 12 moment. Now let me speak directly to those of you with silver in your hair and decades in your story. Some of you feel the years have run out. You feel your season slipped away. You watch younger ones step into blessing, and you whisper, maybe my time is gone. Silence that lie right now. Moses was 80 years old when the bush burst into flame before him. 80 years old. For 8 decades he believed he was nothing more than a forgotten shepherd wandering the wilderness. Finished, irrelevant, past his prime. But God declared, no, your Wednesday is here, and when it arrives, it will arrive with fire. God doesn't choose the young because they're strong. He chooses the faithful because they've been refined. He chooses the patient because they've learned trust. He chooses the scarred because they walk in authority. The untouched will never know. Your age isn't disqualification. It's qualification. Listen closely. Esther had one narrow window, one Kairos moment. If she missed it, an entire nation would have been destroyed. Mordecai looked her in the eyes and spoke words that still thunder today. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4 verse 14. This Wednesday is your for such a time as this. But here's where it becomes critical. Here's where most people lose everything. Kairos moments do not wait around. They do not circle back. They are not merry-go-rounds you can hop onto later. They are trains that roar through the station only once. If you're not standing ready on the platform when it arrives, if you're distracted, doubting, or still cradling old hurts and refusing to believe God can still move, you will hear the whistle, watch the doors shut, and spend the rest of your days haunted by, what if I had believed? I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm trying to spare you from regret that clings like a shadow. Because here's what most preachers will never say. Miss Kairos moments become ghosts. They follow you. They whisper in the quiet. They appear in the faces of those who said yes when you said maybe. Decades from now, you will look back and remember this message. Remember this Wednesday. And you either say, thank God I obeyed, or you will whisper, I wish I had trusted. The choice is yours. Now, let me pour hope back into your spirit, because God is not cruel. He is not teasing you with a blessing only to snatch it away. He scheduled this Wednesday specifically for you, before you were formed, before your first cry, before your first wound. God scanned the timeline of your life, circled this coming Wednesday, and declared, that's the day the doors that have rusted shut for decades will fly open at her touch. In Acts chapter 2, the disciples were simply told to wait. They didn't know for what. They didn't know how long. But on the day of Pentecost, everything exploded. The Holy Spirit didn't tiptoe in. He roared like a mighty wind, with tongues of fire resting on them, and 3,000 souls were saved a single day. That is what happens when divine timing collides with hearts that refuse to leave the room. Wednesday is your Pentecost, but you have to stay in the upper room. You have to stay expectant. You have to stop letting doubt talk you out of the destiny written on your life. Because I promise you, chosen one, if you step forward in faith, if you declare, God, I don't understand it all, but I trust you, the doors you've knocked on for years will swing wide so suddenly. You'll wonder why you ever questioned. Financial doors, relationship doors, healing doors, doors of purpose you thought were welded shut forever. They've all been waiting for this Wednesday. So here's what I need you to do right now. If you're ready to board that train, if you're exhausted from watching everyone else step into their moment while you stand frozen on the platform stays stuck, type in the comments right now, I'm ready for Wednesday. Don't just scroll past this. Declare it with your own mouth. Speak it into existence. Let the courts of heaven record your voice. Because every time you obey, something buried begins to rise. Your delay was never punishment, chosen one. It was divine preparation. And now, with Wednesday drawing near, there's a truth the enemy has fought to keep hidden from you, a truth that once it lands in your spirit, will rewrite everything. You know what cuts the deepest? It's not the pain itself. It's the feeling of being invisible, the deafening silence, the way the phone calls stop coming, the way your phone used to light up every day, and now it lies cold and quiet on the counter for weeks at a time. You watch the world spin faster and faster. New gadgets, new voices, new trends you can't even keep up with. And somewhere along the way, a lie took root. The lie that you've been left behind, that your chapter closed, that God packed up and moved on without you. Chosen one, hear me clearly. You were never forgotten. You were fiercely protected. There's a universe of difference between being buried and being planted. The enemy wanted you to think you were buried, discarded, finished, irrelevant. But God was planting you. And everything planted in darkness eventually breaks through with unstoppable power. Think about a diamond. You don't stumble across diamonds glittering on the sidewalk in the middle of a busy city. They're forged miles beneath the surface, locked in crushing darkness, under relentless pressure, hidden inside rock. For years it has been you, hidden not because you were worthless, but because you were priceless and the timing wasn't right yet. The enemy has been prowling around you like a starving wolf, waiting for you to emerge too early. But God kept saying, "Not yet. My child is still being formed." And now, chosen one, Wednesday is the great unveiling. But you need to see the ancient pattern, because what's happening in your life isn't random. It's prophetic. It has happened to every major move of God across history. Look at Moses, 80 years old. Most people at 80 are planning retirement, not revolution. Yet God met him at a bush that burned but was not consumed, and said, Now you're ready. Now go set my people free." Moses didn't peak in his 20s. He peaked at 80. Look at Abraham, 75 when God told him to leave everything familiar, 100 when Isaac finally cried in Sarah's arms. Look at Anna the prophetess, 84 years old, living in the temple, fasting, praying, unseen by the world, until the day she held Messiah in her aged hands. Her entire life pointed to that single moment. And Caleb, 85 years old, standing bold before Joshua and saying, "Give me this mountain." Not, "I'm too old." Not, "I'm worn out." Give me this mountain. Because at 85 his faith was sharper than ever. Do you see it? God specializes in late life explosions. He waits until the world has written you off, until you've been crushed, refined, humbled, emptied, because only then can he trust you with the magnitude of power that's coming. Only then will you refuse to touch his glory. You've been hidden, yes, but you have not been idle. Every tear you cried alone was intercession. Every night you begged God. Why me? Why now? Was training. Every time you felt like quitting but kept breathing anyway, endurance was being hammered into your spirit. Your pain was your seminary. Your suffering was your boot camp. And graduation day, chosen one, is this Wednesday. But listen, nothing that hit you these past 5 years was accidental. That sudden illness, that betrayal that came out of nowhere, that financial collapse you never saw coming, that grief that brought you to your knees, none of it was random. The enemy knew what was scheduled for you this Wednesday, and he launched an all-out assault to take you out before you could walk in. He hurled doubt, depression, disease, division, everything he had, hoping you would curse God and die, hoping you would finally say, "I'm too old. I'm too broken. It's too late." But you didn't. You're still here. You're still standing. And that alone is the evidence that you are marked. Now I need you to do something bold. If Holy Spirit fire is flickering in your chest right now, if something inside you is roaring, yes, type these exact words in the comments. He hid me for a reason. Say out loud if you're alone. Let heaven record it. Because the moment you declare truth, the atmosphere shifts, angels straighten up, demons scatter, and the steel vault around your heart starts to crack. God did not carry you through everything you survived just to let you fade into the shadows. He hid you so he could unveil you in blinding glory. And Wednesday is the day both heaven and hell find out what he's been building in the dark. But here's the question you must settle right now, before we go deeper. Are you done hiding? Are you willing to step into the blinding light, even if it feels terrifying? Even if people don't get it? Even if your own family thinks you've lost your mind? Because what's coming next demands raw courage. And I'm about to show you precisely what heaven has scheduled for this Wednesday, and why letting it pass could cost you the very thing you cried out for your whole life. Chosen one. The battles you endured. Most people would not have survived them. Say that again to yourself. Most people would not have survived what I survived. You thought your story was unusually hard by accident. You thought those seasons of darkness were random. No, hell targeted you because heaven selected you. You want to know why your pain has been deeper than most, why your waiting has stretched longer, why your nights have been darker and your tears heavier. Because your assignment is greater than most. The enemy saw your future long before you did and went into panic mode. When a farmer walks his field, he doesn't waste poison on the weeds. He attacks the harvest. You've been under relentless spiritual attack, not because you're weak, but because you are lethal to the kingdom of darkness. You were an arrow drawn back farther than anyone else. And here's what most never grasp about arrows. The farther back you're pulled, the farther and faster you fly when released. All that tension you felt wasn't punishment. It was positioning. Every delayed promise, every slammed door, every dream that appeared to die. It was God's hand pulling the bowstring tighter, building explosive pressure, storing kingdom momentum for the moment of release. Chosen one, Wednesday is your release. Now let me take you into the storms you somehow lived through. Storms engineered not just to wound you, but to erase you completely. Widowhood. Some of you stood at a fresh grave and felt half your soul lowered into the ground with your spouse. The nights grew colder. The house grew quieter. And you wonder if God even noticed you were still alive. Financial ruin. Maybe the business you poured your life into collapsed. The house was lost. The retirement you spent decades saving vanished overnight. And people stare with pity or whisper judgment. What did they do to deserve this? But you did nothing wrong. You were being stripped of every earthly security, so you would cling only to what is eternal. Prodigal children. You raised them in church, prayed over them, sacrificed to them, and now they don't call, don't visit, have walked away from everything you poured into them. Every holiday stabs. Every birthday echoes empty. Every Sunday morning you sit in with an ache where they should be. Chronic sickness. The pain that never quits. The pill bottles multiplying. The doctor bills draining your accounts, and your hope, your own body turning traitor. And you've cried out 1,000 times, God, don't you see me? Why won't you heal me? Loneliness that sits on your chest like a weight you can't push off. The worst storm of them all. You can be surrounded by crowds and still feel completely unseen. You can sit in rooms full of laughter and conversation, yet hear nothing but the echo of your own emptiness. You walk into church, put on the smile, sing the songs, but inside you're screaming, does anybody actually see me? Does anybody even care that I'm drowning? Let me say something that will rearrange your entire theology. You survived storms that were never meant to merely wound you. They were engineered to bury you, to erase you completely, to silence your name forever. The enemy didn't want you limping. He wanted you gone, finished, removed from a board. Yet here you are, still drawing breath, still holding faith, still standing when every natural circumstance screamed that you should have crumbled years ago. Do you realize what that proves? It proves hell emptied its arsenal against you and lost. Every weapon formed against you is already rusted and snapped. You are living, walking proof that the power of God is greater. And that chosen one is exactly why this Wednesday is a detonation point. Here's the divine mathematics most ministers are afraid to preach. Delay equals multiplied power. Every year you waited wasn't wasted time. It was compounding interest in a heavenly account you couldn't see. While you were weeping in the dark, heaven was adding zeros to what's about to be released. Pain equals transfer authority. Every tear, every loss, every night you refused to die, it wasn't meaningless suffering. It was currency. You were purchasing spiritual rank in realms you haven't stepped into yet. Job lost everything. Yet when restoration came, it wasn't replacement, it was double because his pain had purchased authority. Romans 8 verse 18 declares that the sufferings of this present time are not even worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us. Not just to us, in us. That glory isn't on its way. It's already locked and loaded inside you, waiting for Wednesday to ignite. You survived widowhood. You've earned authority over loneliness and despair. You survived financial collapse. You've earned authority over lack and poverty. You survived wayward children. You've earned authority to pull them out of the pit. You survived chronic illness. You've earned authority over sickness in your body and in the bodies of others. Wednesday is activation day. This isn't theory. Chosen one. This is warfare. And you've been on the front lines longer than most. You've taken direct hits that would have ended weaker warriors. But you're still here, scarred, weary, yet undefeated. And now heaven is about to show the world exactly why you had to endure it all. Because what's coming this Wednesday isn't a gentle blessing. It's a full-scale explosion. Listen closely. Chosen one. When I say your fortune is about to explode this Wednesday, erase every shallow, worldly definition you've been fed. Fortune is not merely digits on a bank statement. It's not a random check or an unexpected inheritance. What's coming Wednesday is infinitely deeper, wider, and more unstoppable than money could ever purchase. The world trained you to think small. Blessing means cash. Breakthrough means a better job. Favor means a newer car. But heaven runs on a higher currency. And this Wednesday, God is making a fivefold deposit that will detonate across every realm of your life at once. Not one area, not two, 5. Miss even one, and you'll think nothing happened when everything has already shifted. First, spiritual fortune. This is your authority being fully restored. For years, maybe decades, you felt spiritually frail, prayers hitting the ceiling, your voice carrying no weight in the spirit. You once walked in fire and boldness, but disappointment after disappointment eroded it until you wondered if God even noticed when you prayed. Psalm 103 verse 5 promises He satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. This Wednesday, the heavens shift. Your spiritual fire, the kind that makes demons flee when you open your mouth, is being reignited. Thursday morning you will wake up lighter, bolder, with an authority you haven't felt in years. Second, emotional fortune. You've carried invisible storms that never made the news but almost destroyed you. Nights at 2 a.m. replaying old wounds, regrets, wondering why your story had to hurt so much. You've smiled at family gatherings while bleeding internally, said, "I'm fine," when you were shattering. Isaiah 61 verse 3 promises beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. This Wednesday, God is exchanging your ashes for a crown. The emotional weight you've dragged for decades is being lifted permanently. A peace that defies your circumstances is moving in the kind that makes people ask, how are you so calm in the middle of all this? Third, relational fortune. How many of you have a child who quit speaking to you? A grandchild you only see in photographs? A sibling who cut you off and you don't even remember why? You prayed for reconciliation until the words fell hollow. You reached out and were ignored until hope died. Malachi 4 verse 6 says, He will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to the fathers. This Wednesday, heaven unlocks divine reconciliation. Dead relationships are receiving resurrection breath. That call you stopped expecting, it's coming. That grandchild you thought forgot your face, they're about to reach out. Hearts are being rewired right now. Fourth, physical fortune. Let's talk about your body. The constant ache when you wake. The rows of pill bottles, the appointments that never end. The diagnosis you're afraid to speak. You've begged God for healing and heard only silence. 3 John 1 verse 2 declares, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. This Wednesday, divine health is being released, not symptom management, but genuine healing. Strength you thought was gone forever is returning. Energy is flooding back. Your body is about to obey the voice of its creator again. Fifth, financial fortune. Yes, money is included, but not the way the world thinks. This isn't a lottery fantasy or some shady scheme. This is divine, undeserved, late-life provision that makes up for every lean year. Deuteronomy 8 verse 18 says, It is He who gives you power to get wealth. This Wednesday, God is releasing financial favor you didn't earn by human effort. Doors you never knocked on will swing open. Money you weren't counting on will show up. Debts will dissolve. Provision will chase you down. But